Good day, my friends. If you're listening to these words today, perhaps you've been carrying a burden that few people understand. Maybe you've been misunderstood, underestimated, betrayed, or even mocked for choosing a different path. Maybe you've wondered why doing the right thing often seems to attract the hardest battles. But stay with me until the end, because what you're about to hear may completely change the way you see every struggle you've faced. Sometimes, the greatest confirmation that you're walking in the right direction is not the applause you receive, it's the resistance you encounter. There is something remarkable about people who refuse to compromise their values. They don't chase approval. They don't bend their character to fit into every room. They quietly continue doing what they know is right, even when nobody is watching. And strangely enough, that kind of strength often makes others uncomfortable. Not because you've harmed them, but because your discipline reminds them of the excuses they've accepted. Your peace exposes their chaos. Your courage reveals their fear. Many people believe that hurting someone with integrity will bring them satisfaction or power. They think insults, betrayal, lies, or manipulation will weaken a person who stands for truth. But life has a way of teaching powerful lessons. When someone intentionally attacks a person who refuses to return evil for evil, they often discover that bitterness harms the one carrying it far more than the one it was meant to destroy. Hate is a heavy burden, and eventually the person holding it feels its full weight. Have you ever noticed that those who constantly try to pull others down rarely find lasting peace themselves? They spend so much energy criticizing, comparing, and competing that they lose sight of their own purpose. While they are focused on tearing someone else apart, they slowly neglect the work that could have transformed their own lives. Envy steals time, joy, and potential. It promises satisfaction, but delivers emptiness. This doesn't mean life will instantly reward every good person or punish every wrong action overnight. Reality doesn't always work that way. There are moments when injustice seems to win. There are seasons when lies spread faster than truth. There are days when good people cry while dishonest people appear to celebrate. But time has a remarkable way of revealing character. Eventually, integrity becomes impossible to hide, and deception becomes impossible to maintain forever. One of the greatest mistakes people make is assuming that kindness is weakness. They mistake patience for fear. They confuse silence with surrender. But true strength often looks quiet. It is the ability to remain calm while others lose control. It is choosing wisdom over revenge. It is refusing to let someone else's darkness become your own. That kind of self-control is far more powerful than any angry reaction. There will always be people who misunderstand your intentions. No matter how carefully you explain yourself, some have already decided what they want to believe. Don't waste your life trying to convince every critic. Your purpose is not to manage everyone's opinion. Your responsibility is to protect your character. Reputation depends on what people think. Character depends on who you truly are when no one is watching. Sometimes, betrayal comes from the people you trusted the most. Friends become strangers. Family members question your decisions. People who once celebrated your success suddenly become uncomfortable with your growth. It hurts deeply because the pain comes from familiar hands, But every disappointment teaches you an important lesson. Not everyone assigned to your past is meant to accompany you into your future. The people who try to discourage you often cannot imagine a life beyond their own limitations. They project their fears onto your dreams. They tell you what cannot be done because they have already surrendered their own hope. But you must remember that another person's disbelief is not evidence that your purpose is impossible. Their ceiling does not have to become yours. The strongest people are not those who never cry. They are the ones who keep moving forward after the tears have fallen. They understand that pain is temporary, but purpose is lasting. Every difficult season develops patience. Every disappointment builds wisdom. Every setback creates strength that comfort could never produce. The storms you survive become the testimony that inspires someone else to keep going. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" try asking, "What is this preparing me for?" That simple shift changes everything. Challenges stop becoming punishments and start becoming preparation. Pressure no longer feels meaningless because you recognize that the strongest foundations are built under the greatest weight. Diamonds are formed under pressure, and resilient people are shaped through perseverance. Never allow bitterness to become your identity. The world has enough angry people. Choose forgiveness, not because others always deserve it, but because your future deserves freedom. Holding on to resentment keeps you connected to yesterday's pain. Letting go allows you to step into tomorrow's possibilities. Forgiveness is not forgetting what happened. It is refusing to let it control who you become. There is incredible power in consistency. You don't have to prove yourself through loud words or dramatic gestures. Keep showing up. Keep improving. Keep learning. Keep serving. Keep building. Day after day, your actions will speak louder than your critics ever could. Small, faithful steps repeated over time create extraordinary results that overnight success can never match. Remember that your value is not determined by rejection, criticism, or temporary failure. Your worth was never meant to be measured by public opinion. Some of the greatest breakthroughs happen after the greatest discouragement. The moment you feel like giving up may be the very moment you're standing closest to the life you've been working toward. Don't quit because the journey became difficult. Difficult roads often lead to the most meaningful destinations. So if you've been mocked, misunderstood, underestimated, or unfairly treated, don't let it harden your heart. Let it strengthen your resolve. Continue choosing integrity when dishonesty seems easier. Continue showing kindness when anger feels justified. Continue believing when doubt surrounds you. Those who try to destroy a person of strong character often discover that truth cannot be permanently buried, courage cannot be permanently silenced, and genuine purpose cannot be permanently stopped. Keep walking forward with confidence, because a life built on faith, wisdom, perseverance, and integrity will always outlast the noise of those who tried to stand in its way. People often believe they can damage someone else's future by spreading lies, creating division, or constantly speaking words of discouragement. They imagine that if they criticize enough, reject enough, or stand in someone else's way long enough, they will eventually force that person to give up. But they fail to understand one powerful truth. Every action carries consequences, and the attitudes we cultivate eventually shape the lives we live. The harm we intentionally send toward others rarely stops with them. It begins changing us first. A heart filled with bitterness slowly loses its ability to experience peace. A mind consumed by jealousy forgets how to celebrate its own blessings. The greatest damage often happens within the person who refuses to let go of resentment. Have you ever noticed how some people seem unable to celebrate anyone else's success? Every promotion, every achievement, every opportunity someone else receives becomes a source of frustration instead of inspiration. Rather than asking, "What can I learn from their journey?" they ask, "Why them instead of me?" That single question becomes the beginning of countless poor decisions. Envy convinces people to compete where they should be learning. It encourages comparison instead of growth. And while they are busy watching another person's life, their own dreams remain untouched, waiting for the attention they never receive. There are people who mistake kindness for weakness. They assume that because someone chooses peace instead of conflict, they can be manipulated, disrespected, or taken advantage of without consequence. They believe silence means defeat. But true strength does not always announce itself with loud voices or dramatic reactions. Sometimes the strongest person in the room is the one who refuses to be controlled by anger. Remaining calm when others expect chaos is not weakness, it is discipline. Responding with wisdom instead of revenge requires far greater courage than responding with rage. History and everyday life both reveal the same pattern. Those who dedicate themselves to tearing others down eventually become trapped by the very negativity they created. Their conversations revolve around criticism. Their thoughts revolve around comparison. Their energy is spent searching for flaws in everyone except themselves. Instead of building a meaningful future, they become experts at destroying peace. Yet, destruction never creates fulfillment. It only leaves behind emptiness that no amount of gossip or victory over another person can ever fill. Perhaps you've experienced betrayal from someone you trusted completely. Maybe they smiled in your presence but criticized you when you weren't there. Maybe they celebrated your dreams at first but became distant the moment those dreams started becoming reality. That kind of pain cuts deeply because it comes from familiar faces rather than strangers. But betrayal also reveals something valuable. It shows you who truly values your growth and who only appreciated you when you remained small enough to make them feel comfortable. Sometimes losing the wrong people creates space for the right relationships to enter your life. Many people try to discourage others because they cannot imagine a future greater than their own past. Their limitations become the lens through which they judge everyone else's potential. If they failed once, they assume you will fail too. If they gave up, they expect you to surrender as well. But another person's fear should never become your reality. Their inability to believe is not proof that your purpose is impossible. Every remarkable achievement in history began with someone refusing to accept the limits that others insisted were permanent. There is something powerful about a person who continues walking with integrity despite unfair treatment. They refuse to answer insults with insults. They refuse to trade honesty for shortcuts. They refuse to sacrifice their principles simply because doing the right thing has become difficult. That kind of character cannot be easily shaken because it is built on values rather than emotions. Emotions change with circumstances. Values remain steady even when life becomes uncertain. Some people believe winning means seeing someone else lose. They celebrate temporary victories gained through deception, manipulation, or dishonesty. But victories built on broken principles rarely last. Success without integrity eventually collapses under its own weight, because lies require constant maintenance. Truth, on the other hand, requires no defense. It remains consistent even when questioned. That is why character is always a stronger foundation than popularity. Popularity can disappear overnight, but integrity continues earning trust long after applause has faded. Think about how much energy it takes to hold on to hatred. Every morning begins with anger. Every conversation circles back to the same resentment. Every success another person experiences becomes another reason to feel disappointed. Hatred demands constant attention, and over time it steals joy from every area of life. Meanwhile, the person who chooses forgiveness may still remember the pain, but they refuse to let it define their future. They move forward while others remain trapped in yesterday's battles. This does not mean you should allow people to repeatedly mistreat you. Forgiveness is not permission for abuse. Wisdom teaches us to forgive while also setting healthy boundaries. You can wish someone well without allowing them continued access to your peace. Protecting your heart is not an act of revenge, it is an act of responsibility. Not everyone deserves unlimited influence over your life simply because they once knew you. One of the greatest lessons life teaches is that every person eventually reveals their true character. Words can create an image for a while, but consistent actions always expose reality. Someone may pretend to support you, but their behavior will eventually reveal their true intentions. Likewise, a person who quietly lives with honesty may go unnoticed for a season, yet over time, their consistency becomes impossible to ignore. Character is not proven in moments of comfort. It is revealed during moments of pressure. So if you find yourself surrounded by criticism, misunderstanding, or opposition, do not become discouraged. Stay focused on the person you are becoming, rather than the opinions being spoken about you. Keep improving your character. Keep choosing honesty over convenience. Keep responding with wisdom instead of bitterness. The people who try to destroy others through envy, hatred, or deception often discover too late that the greatest prison they built was the one inside their own hearts. But the person who continues walking in integrity, even through pain, gains something far greater than revenge. They gain peace, strength, respect, and a future that no amount of opposition can permanently take away. Every meaningful journey includes moments that make you question whether you should keep going. There will be days when your efforts seem unnoticed, your sacrifices feel invisible, and your dreams appear farther away than ever before. In those moments, it is easy to believe that the obstacles in front of you are signs that you should stop. But what if the opposite is true? What if the resistance you face is not evidence that you are on the wrong path, but proof that you are growing into someone stronger than you were yesterday. Every challenge carries the potential to shape your character in ways comfort never could. Think about the strongest people you know. Rarely did they become resilient because life was easy. Their strength was built through disappointment, failure, rejection, and moments when they had no choice but to keep moving forward. Every difficult season forced them to discover abilities they never knew they possessed. They learned patience because quick answers never came. They learned courage because fear stood directly in their path. They learned endurance because quitting was easier than continuing. Yet they chose to continue anyway. Many people see hardship as a punishment, but often it is preparation. Life has a way of stretching us before it strengthens us. Before you can carry greater responsibility, your character must become capable of handling it. Before you can appreciate lasting success, you must learn lessons that temporary victories could never teach. Growth almost always feels uncomfortable because it requires leaving behind the version of yourself that was satisfied with staying the same. Change demands effort, and effort often brings resistance. One of the greatest mistakes people make is comparing their struggles to someone else's visible success. They look at someone standing on a mountain and forget the countless valleys that person had to cross to get there. Every successful individual has faced moments of doubt. Every confident person has experienced insecurity. Every inspiring story contains chapters filled with uncertainty. The difference is not that they avoided hardship. The difference is that they refused to allow hardship to become the final chapter of their story. There will be people who misunderstand your persistence. They may tell you that you're dreaming too big, working too hard, or expecting too much from life. Sometimes these voices come from strangers, but sometimes they come from people you love. Their words may cause you to question yourself, but remember this: people often speak from the limits of their own experiences. If they have never seen something achieved, they may struggle to believe it is possible. Their doubts reflect their perspective, not your potential. Failure is another experience that many people fear, yet failure is often one of life's greatest teachers. It humbles you without destroying you. It exposes weaknesses that success might have hidden. It teaches you what doesn't work, so you can move closer to what does. Some of the most successful people in history experienced repeated setbacks before achieving the breakthroughs they are remembered for. If they had allowed failure to define them, the world would never have known what they were capable of accomplishing. Imagine a seed buried beneath the soil. From the outside, it looks as though nothing is happening. It is surrounded by darkness, pressed down by the weight of the earth above it. Yet, beneath the surface, something extraordinary is taking place. Roots are growing before anyone can see the plant. Strength is developing long before visible success appears. In many ways, your difficult seasons work the same way. Even when you feel forgotten, growth is happening where no one else can see it. The roots of your character are becoming deeper, preparing you to stand firm when greater opportunities arrive. Pressure has a unique way of revealing who we truly are. It exposes our habits, our priorities, and our beliefs. When everything is comfortable, almost anyone can appear confident. But when uncertainty arrives, true character is revealed. That is why difficult seasons should not always be feared. They become opportunities to discover strengths that comfort would never require. Every obstacle invites you to become more patient, more disciplined, more compassionate, and more determined than you were before. There are moments when giving up will seem like the easiest option. You may feel exhausted from trying, discouraged by delays, or overwhelmed by responsibilities. But remember that the greatest breakthroughs often happen after the greatest tests. Many people quit just before the results begin to appear. They mistake temporary silence for permanent failure. They assume that because progress is invisible, progress is absent. Yet some of the most important transformations happen quietly, long before the world notices them. Do not measure your journey only by visible achievements. Sometimes your greatest victory is becoming a person who refuses to surrender. Sometimes success is learning to remain kind after experiencing cruelty. Sometimes it is choosing honesty when dishonesty would have been easier. Sometimes it is continuing to believe in your purpose, even when circumstances provide no immediate evidence that things are improving. These invisible victories shape the foundation upon which lasting success is built. Patience is one of the most overlooked forms of strength. We live in a world that celebrates instant results, yet the most meaningful accomplishments require time. Trees do not grow overnight. Strong relationships are not built in a day. Wisdom is not gained in a single conversation. Lasting character develops through consistent choices repeated over months and years. When you understand this, you stop becoming frustrated by slow progress. Instead, you begin appreciating every small step because you know it is leading somewhere significant. Remember that every challenge you overcome becomes part of your story. One day, someone else will be standing where you once stood, discouraged, uncertain, and wondering whether they should continue. Your perseverance will become the evidence they need to believe that they can overcome their own struggles. The pain you endure today may become the encouragement that gives someone else hope tomorrow. That is one of the beautiful purposes hidden within adversity. So, whenever life becomes difficult, refuse to see yourself as defeated. See yourself as being developed. Every obstacle is strengthening your endurance. Every disappointment is increasing your wisdom. Every delay is teaching you patience. Every setback is preparing you for a comeback that will be built on experience instead of pride. The road may be steep, and the journey may test every part of your character, but keep walking. The challenges you face today are not designed to destroy your future. They are shaping you into the kind of person who can carry the future you have been preparing for. Keep believing, keep growing, and keep moving forward. Because the strongest people are not those who never faced storms. They are the ones who learned how to keep walking through them with courage, hope, and unwavering determination. There comes a moment in every person's life when they must decide whether they will allow the opinions of others to control their future or whether they will remain faithful to the purpose placed within their heart. This decision is not made once, it is made every single day. Every criticism invites you to doubt yourself. Every setback tempts you to quit. Every delay whispers that your efforts are pointless. Yet the people who leave a lasting impact are not those who never face these voices. They are the ones who refuse to let those voices become louder than their inner conviction. Your purpose was never meant to depend on constant approval. If every step required applause, you would stop moving the moment the crowd became silent. There will be seasons when no one notices your progress. There will be days when your hard work receives no recognition. But the absence of praise does not mean the absence of progress. Some of the greatest transformations happen in private, long before they become visible to the world. What you consistently do in silence often determines what the world eventually celebrates in public. One of the greatest strengths you can develop is consistency. Motivation comes and goes. Feelings change from one day to the next. Circumstances rise and fall like the tides. But consistency keeps moving, even when emotions disappear. It chooses discipline over excuses. It chooses commitment over comfort. A person who takes one faithful step every day will eventually travel farther than someone who waits for the perfect moment that never comes. Great lives are rarely built through dramatic moments alone. They are built through ordinary choices repeated with extraordinary commitment. There will always be people who expect you to become bitter after being hurt. They expect betrayal to harden your heart. They expect disappointment to destroy your hope. They expect rejection to silence your dreams. But there is incredible power in refusing to become what wounded you. You can experience injustice without becoming unjust. You can encounter dishonesty without abandoning your integrity. You can be criticized without losing your compassion. This is where true victory begins, not by changing everyone around you, but by protecting the person you are becoming. Forgiveness is often misunderstood. Many believe it means pretending the pain never happened or allowing harmful behavior to continue. But forgiveness is something much deeper than that. It is making the decision that yesterday's pain will not control tomorrow's choices. It is releasing the desire for revenge so your heart can remain free. Bitterness keeps reopening old wounds, while forgiveness allows healing to begin. The person who forgives is not saying the wrong was acceptable. They are saying that their future is too valuable to remain chained to the past. At the same time, wisdom teaches us to establish healthy boundaries. You can forgive someone without giving them unlimited access to your life again. You can wish someone well while choosing peace over unnecessary conflict. Protecting your mind, your time, and your emotional well-being is not selfish. It is responsible. Every meaningful purpose requires focus, and focus becomes impossible when your energy is constantly drained by negativity. Another powerful habit is learning to remain patient during seasons of waiting. Many people abandon their dreams not because they lack ability, but because they grow tired of waiting for results. They expect every effort to produce immediate rewards. But life often develops character before it delivers opportunity. The waiting season is not empty. It is filled with preparation. It teaches humility, endurance, gratitude, and wisdom. These qualities become the foundation that allows lasting success to remain steady instead of collapsing under pressure. Do not underestimate the power of small daily actions. Reading one chapter every day may not seem significant, but over a year it becomes dozens of books. Saving a little consistently becomes financial security. Offering kindness each day builds trust that cannot be purchased. Speaking with honesty creates relationships that stand the test of time. Success is rarely the result of one extraordinary decision. More often, it is the result of hundreds of ordinary decisions made with faithfulness and determination. There will be moments when you feel like your efforts are invisible. You may wonder whether your honesty is worth it, when dishonest people seem to advance more quickly. You may question whether patience matters when shortcuts appear more rewarding. But never forget that quick success built on weak foundations rarely lasts. Integrity may seem slower, but it creates stability that cannot be easily shaken. A building with a strong foundation can withstand storms that would destroy a structure built only for appearance. The world often encourages people to chase popularity instead of purpose. It tells you to become whatever earns the most attention. It rewards appearances more than character. But attention fades, trends change, public opinion shifts overnight. Purpose remains. A life guided by purpose does not rise and fall with every compliment or criticism because it is rooted in something deeper than temporary approval. When you know who you are and why you are here, the noise around you loses much of its power. Never believe the lie that your past determines your future. Every person has made mistakes. Every life contains regrets. Every heart has experienced failure in one form or another. But your past is a lesson, not a life sentence. The choices you make today carry more power than the mistakes you made yesterday. Growth begins the moment you decide that your history will inform you instead of imprisoning you. The future belongs to those who are willing to learn, change, and continue moving forward. There is also great strength in serving others along your journey. Real success is not measured only by what you achieve for yourself. It is measured by the hope you inspire, the kindness you extend, and the lives you encourage. Sometimes your greatest contribution will not be your accomplishments, but your example. Someone is watching how you respond to hardship. Someone is learning resilience because they see you refusing to give up. Someone is finding courage because your perseverance reminds them that difficult seasons do not last forever. As you continue moving toward your purpose, remember that not every closed door is a failure. Some closed doors protect you from paths that would have distracted you from your true calling. Some disappointments become unexpected blessings when viewed with the wisdom that comes through time. What feels like rejection today may become the very reason you discover an opportunity far greater than the one you lost. Trust that every experience, whether joyful or painful, has the ability to shape you into a wiser and stronger person if you allow it. So keep walking with confidence, even when the road feels lonely. Keep choosing honesty when dishonesty appears easier. Keep choosing patience when frustration tempts you to give up. Keep choosing kindness when the world encourages revenge. Keep choosing discipline when comfort calls your name. The unstoppable person is not the one who never falls, but the one who rises every time life knocks them down. Continue believing in the purpose placed within your heart. Continue growing through every challenge, and continue living with unwavering integrity. In the end, people may forget your words, they may overlook your achievements, and they may fail to recognize the battles you fought in silence. But they will never forget the strength of a life that refused to surrender, the character that remained faithful through every storm, and the quiet determination that proved no obstacle, no criticism, and no opposition could stop a person who remained committed to truth, purpose, and hope.